Hey folks, I haven't done a video in a while, and I thought now would be a really good time to do one. In case you haven't noticed, I got some grays, growing them out. I thought now would be a really good time to do a video on this isolation that we're feeling during COVID times and just political times and just all the stuff that's going on. Um, I've heard a lot about people feeling separated from people that they normally would be very close with, and in especially in the realm of friendships where there's this feeling of out of sight, out of mind. So that's the topic that I kind of wanted to talk about today for just a second: is out of sight, out of mind, and is that a bad thing? So if I feel like with me for my friends in terms of me out of sight, out of mind, I might be really upset because I'll feel forgotten and I might want to talk to my friends. I might want to even do, if it has to be distancing, I want to get together with my friends. And instead, I have this idea that, well, if I'm not within their line of vision, or if I'm not calling them first, then they forgot about me. Um, but what if that out of sight, out of mind phenomenon, what if that's actually necessary? Not even just normal, which it kind of is, by the way. It's kind of normal to not think about things that aren't right in our line of vision. But what if it's also necessary? Um, I was in a cognitive psychology class in school when I went to college, and I was at the University of Rochester, and we had a cognitive psych class. And I remember when I learned this because it just really made so much sense, and I was surprised, and I never thought of it like this before. But we're talking about foreground and background. And the professor asked us, what if everything was foreground? Like, what if we paid attention to everything? Like, we heard every noise that was within our range of hearing. We were very aware of it. And we were very aware of every sight in our peripheral vision in front of us. We were very aware of everything that we could touch, the chair under our bottoms, the watch on my wrist. What if everything was foreground? Can you imagine that? Can you freaking imagine if everything was in our mind at the same time with equal importance? Um, Gestalt pictures have a way of kind of portraying how we can focus our attention. There's when you look at that picture, is it two faces looking at each other or is it a vase? And the reality is one is foreground at one time, one is background, and all you have to do is switch your focus. I'm going to focus on the background instead of the foreground, and now I'll see that it's actually the other thing. But what if there's no such thing as out of sight, out of mind? I mean, truly, it's out of mind for a minute. It's not out of our memory. So that's, we use that term as a bad thing because we're feeling lonely and maybe rejected or not important enough. And we say, oh, with them, it's out of sight, out of mind. My guess is I know it's normal to not think about everything all the time, to not have this Rolodex of people in my life in the forefront of my mind all the time. How overwhelming would that be? If I actually look at the list of my friends or the people that are in my life and I think about the last time I called them or talked with them, that and took it to heart, that would get so overwhelming psychologically. And I don't even think I would have reasonable expectations of myself at that point. I think not only is it normal, it's necessary. So, what if instead of being angry that a normal thing is happening with that other person in your life, what if now that it's in your sight, so to speak, because your mind is on that person, what if you made the move and gave up the idea of keeping score on I only talk to that person when I call them and I'm not calling them anymore. They need to make the effort. And it might be the case that you'll always be the one to initiate and they'll always love hearing from you, right? And you can have that conversation with them like openly. Like sometimes I really need you to call me first. I don't care if you have to set your alarm clock to remind you, but can you call me first? Instead of not addressing it with the person and then blaming them for out of sight, out of mind, which is actually normal and I would argue necessary for people to have things that are not in our foreground, to not be in our foreground in that moment. We need background. We need some things to not be so important all the time. But it is important to you. It is in your sight, in your line of vision in that moment. Why don't you make the call? Wouldn't that be an answer to this loneliness? It's just a different perspective. Um, Certainly, everybody doesn't have to accept it as something that they value, but I do encourage you to think about it that way. That if we can put down these scorecards, if we can put down these cliches that we say as bad, as something to be thought of as bad, and just be human with each other and humanistic with each other and show a love and appreciation with each other. Just, hey, I missed you. I'm calling. And you know what? Sometimes call me because sometimes I like to know that you miss me enough to call me when I don't call you. I wonder what that would do for people and their relationships and that feeling of loneliness, especially during these times. I hope you're all well. Take care of yourselves and get in touch with some of that compassion so that these times can be less of a struggle. Take care. Bye bye.